Back to Talk Live for part two of the Melissa Ford Modern Woman Playbook, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining me here on Talk Live. We are back for a second night of this saga, and you believe me, this is the last night. But how are you doing tonight? Hope you guys are staying warm. It is a cold one out there throughout the eastern seaboard, so I do hope that you are warm and comfortable, and spare a thought for those who are without a roof over their heads. Hopefully, they find shelter in this night of cool temperatures. And yes, it is. Yes, we are back here explaining this on Talk Live. Thank you very much for joining me on Talk Live on IG and YouTube. Like, subscribe, comment. We are on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Thank you very much for all of your feedback. Do comment below on what you see tonight, of course. And looking forward to discuss this. Now, where we last left you, let's do a little recap here. Melissa Ford was indeed out of her third really big relationship, and Melissa had a man who she truly loved and respected, but yet this was a karmic relationship in that all the misdeeds that she had paid to her former lovers came back to haunt her in this one, in which she was mentally and physically abused. Now, again, no abuse is wanted or needed by anyone. So again, I must state that clearly. No one deserves any sort of physical and mental abuse at all. However, it is hard not to see what has gone on in the past, and how a woman who shirks responsibility and blames it on her youth and inexperience knows who should know right from wrong, chooses to feel that she has no part in what has gone on here, because again, this is a karmic episode, to be sure, and we are indeed at a stage where karma is starting to be relived. And Melissa Ford, unfortunately, suffered mental and physical abuse because of her past misgivings. But again, it's not as if it's deserved, to be fair and frank. However, these things happen, as she said herself about her private relationships. But again, let's get on to this. She has now left that relationship, thank goodness. But again, it is hoped that she is seeking pastures new and new love affairs again. But this is a woman that who has left 2 prior engagements. Cheated on many of her relationships because she was Melissa Ford, quite simply, and she thought that she was deserving of such things. But let's delve into, her further relationships, and also what may be the root cause of her personality, a narcissistic personality, might I add. So let's get into this right now. We're off to the browser, and we are off to see the video posted by the Crimson Cure. And shout out to the Crimson Cure, doing wonderful things. YouTube screams to like and subscribe to Crimson Cure. She is doing wonderful work for in the red pill space, but in the space of being a female who is a feminine coach, and who understands female nature and understands the reasons why female do what they do. And so I am a follower, so we are going to go with this right now on Talk Live. Thanks. And let's get into this right now with the Crimson Cure, as we have not finished our story yet, but I had to stop it short, but I wanted to give it the justice that it deserves, so we're going with it tonight. So thank you very much for joining me on Talk Live. Let's get into this.
Battery 100%. Hard struggle. Understand that there's no shortcuts, and there's a lot of sacrifices involved in this game that nobody will ever tell you. That you're asking for a lot. I was a forward-facing media personality / model. My mom's sickness was, strangely enough, a blessing in disguise. And that relationship came to an end. And that was the first full engagement. So 1.5. So that's where we are right now. Any advice? Any beautiful women?
Do remember, black women who are the least married, most divorced, they count engagements as a badge of honor. So again, they even though they may not be married, they do count engagements as a history, as experience in the relationships game. Although they even if they do not make that final step of becoming married themselves. So let's continue.
Out there to try and make it. Any advice you have to give? Because I know it's a hard struggle. Understand that there's no shortcuts and there's a lot of sacrifices involved in this game that nobody will ever tell you. That you're asking for a lot because you want to become, as visible as some people on this continent, right? Or for that, yeah, exactly, the right way. It's just be careful. Like, be careful what you wish for. When I was 20 years old, I had this boyfriend. His name was Tony Smith. I can say his name because, you could throw a rock and hit a Tony Smith. It may as well be like John Doe. He was from Greensboro, North Carolina. And he had come up to Toronto to play for the Toronto Argos, which is a football team in the Canadian Football League. And he had played in the National Football League, the NFL, for many years. And a lot of NFL players, when they're not ready to hang up their cleats, and not ready to kind of be put out to pasture, they'll come to the CFL. And so I met Tony at this festival called Caravana in Toronto. He was so beautiful. My God, instant attraction, obviously. And we started dating. We genuinely liked each other. We liked each other to the point where we could say really, really offhand things to each other. For example, he asked me what my fantasy was. And I got this look on my face. And I said, well, a fantasy would be, I guess, a menage with me and you and somebody else. And he was like, another woman? I said, no, with another guy. And he was like, really? He was like, do you have an idea as to who this guy is? I said, yeah. He's like, really? You have to tell me. I said,
well, before we get there, remember that this is indeed a narcissist. We go to the DSM-5 definition of narcissism here on Talk Live. And this, Melissa, in wanting this fantasy. Now, again, this is fair and frank, sort of an interesting experience to want to have a relationship with. But again, this is in terms of these criticisms. Let's have a look at number 5 here. Be preoccupied with fantasies about success, power, brilliance, beauty, or the perfect mate, or shall I say perfect mates in this instance. Yes. So that denotes narcissistic behavior. And also, yes, indeed. Insistence on having the best of everything. But again, I think that that number 5 there is clear of a narcissistic behavior because she's preoccupied with fantasies about success, power, brilliance, beauty, or the perfect mate. Or in this case, the perfect mate. So again, are we surprised about this? No. However, one thing we must say is if this man does entertain this sort of behavior, it is up to him to either hold frame in this instance and denounce such behavior unless it deals with equal, if not masculine terms. However, let's see what happens here. Let's see what happens indeed with this fantasy of Melissa Ford. So again, you can see that she is trying to gain a power space in this relationship. Let's continue.
It's your best friend.
And this is why, ta-da, lionesses have to make every distinction at every level from a hyena. Because a lioness would never. First of all, we'd been married by that time. Secondly,
true, indeed. What Crimson Cure has to say is absolutely correct. Most women would be married this time because by this time you'd think Melissa's in her early 30s, late 20s, early 30s. So most women would of true virtue would be married by this time. But Melissa, still acting in her masculine, is not married. She is accumulating engagements, but not married herself. So, are we surprised at this behavior? No, probably not. It's narcissistic. It's masculine, and so not to be shocked in the least. Not to be shocked at all. Let's continue.
she was already looking at the homie. She was already looking at the homie. This is how hyena minds work. This is how they mind work. She was already looking at the homie like that. Lionesses, good wives, we don't look at the homie. We don't look at the homie at all. Not only do we not look at the homie, we're not looking at any other man at all.
Yes, it's clear that Melissa did not see Mr. Smith as a man she wanted to be with for a long period of time. She just saw him as Mr. Right Now because if she did, she wouldn't have eyes for another man in such a relationship. To be fair and frank, and but she went there. She asked for her man's friend in a sexual tryst, and it is, to be fair, reprehensible behavior. But let's see what the man does in this instance. Let's see what comes about of this proposal by Melissa, who clearly disregards her man's disrespects her man in this sense of requesting um, such a sexual request from her ex at the time. Let's continue.
At all. Another man for what? Another man to do what? Because, see, when you look at another man like that and call yourself lining up another dude, in your mind, you're not a man's wife. You're not his wife. Because you're already thinking about a scenario which would allow you to be intimate with another man. You're already thinking like that. You already have plan Bs in mind. I've never had a...
That's right. She's absolutely right. As we already stated, that this woman's looking to move on. This woman is looking for the next one. This is a placeholder boyfriend, as Myron from Fresh Fit would say. This is a man who is there to fulfill a need, is all right for now. However, we're gonna soon let's just get into it right now. We're gonna soon denote where this man lies in terms of a relationship. Let's move on a little bit further. Here we go. Because it is clear that this man was not Mr. Right, but Mr. Right Now, and for her to utter such a request from her man is clearly a man she does not honor, loyal, and respectful to, and she wanted to move on. So she felt the need to give such a statement because she didn't care about his feelings, nor did she see this as a long-term relationship. However, there's a designation for a woman like this. Let's continue into this.
To maybe slap me, I don't know what, but he threw his head back and roared with laughter. And I was like, wow, that was not the response I was expecting. And he said, do you want me to make that happen? I was like, oh my God, that is so sweet. No, absolutely not. It is just a fantasy. It is meant to stay there. But just the fact that you were open to it and don't make me feel shame for feeling this way. He was like, why would I make you feel that way? And Tony,
There's a reason why it will make you feel that way because, well, it's simpish behavior. We've already dictated this on Talk Live previously. Men will do anything and everything to get in bed with a certain type of woman, such as a Melissa Ford here. So therefore, any sort of request will be entertained as long as he can keep this woman near. So Mr. Smith engaged in simpish behavior before. However, there is a theory around this. Everybody plays the fool sometimes. So every man engages in simpish behavior. That's totally fine. Especially for a woman like Melissa Ford to be in to take on Melissa Ford as a lover. However, there's the flip side to this. But let's continue with this story.
I don't know. He maybe he was just an anomaly, but wherever we would go, no matter how scantily I was dressed, he would let me move around the party as I felt the need to.
She thought that was a freedom that he afforded her. The answer to the question told him everything he needed to know. And she was being honest with him. It still told him everything he needed to know about what kind of woman was in front of him. Not only did you have a fantasy about a menage, you had a specific man in mind. And not only did you have a specific man in mind, it was the homie. Huh. Failed the whole test. Couldn't even help herself. Didn't even know it was a whole test. Didn't even know it was a whole test.
Very true there by Crimson Cure, ladies and gentlemen. This was indeed a whole test. See, as I've already stated on Talk Live, women are designated as either one of two people when they're in the prime of life, when they have youth, beauty, and fertility on their side. They are designated as either potential wives or for recreational use only. And what this man designated this woman as being is one who was for recreational use only. So he was going to use this woman for sexual pleasure for as long as he could. In this instance. So again, yes, he was engaged in simpish behavior, but that simpish behavior is for a reason, because he just wanted to get in and get out. He was not seeing this woman as his wife for a long-term basis. So, see, she already had those men in her life. The one from Canada, the one from the States, who both proposed to her, and yet who both wanted to be long-term men in her life, but she wanted to have her whole face. She wanted to explore the world. And so she did. She did. And now she's at an age where men start seeing this woman, have seen the history, have seen their past, have seen themselves in magazines, have seen themselves applying themselves. They understand that she has a reputation out there as being a video vixen, as being a woman who will, who potentially, allegedly may sleep her way to the top of whatever industry she may have been in, and have made a judgment call to say, hey, I do not see myself with this woman long term. I am here just for a good time, have some fun, and move on. And it is clear that uh, Melissa Ford's whole phase is turned against her in this instance. She is now one being used for recreational use only because the times where she can get good men are starting to end. Not to say that they aren't there and aren't about, no doubt about that, they'll always be there, but the fact of the matter is her youth, beauty, and fertility are falling short now. Although she still has all those cards to play, men are starting to see her in a different light, unfortunately, as is Mr. Smith. So he doesn't care if she goes out scantily clad. He doesn't care if she has these sort of fantasies. The fact of the matter is his job is to get in there and out of there with all pleasures and memories in tow. Let's continue.
Didn't even know it was a hostess. Didn't even know. And 48 and still don't know that was a hostess. You done failed so many hostess, haven't you?
Because her ego wouldn't let her say so. Her ego was would bring her to a fall, quite simply. And yeah, it is. It's unfortunate that is indeed the case, but um, she is. Yeah, she is definitely not seeing the forest for the trees because she thought she was Melissa Ford. She thought she was the it girl. Still, however, it girls. Um, it girls don't see the end before others do, and it is designated by the choice of men that you have. Before she would have the top of the top men, the top of the top rapper, top of the top entertainer, top of the top sports star, and now she's dating CFL veterans because she's starting to age out, and with that aging out, um, her caliber of men are starting to age out themselves because she's already had a reputation out there of being, a woman um, of certain means, of certain pleasures, and men aren't starting to, you know, even though they may indeed still be very very interested in her. The fact of the matter is the caliber of men that she was attracting was starting to wane because she's out there scantily clad, not exactly respecting herself, and a lot of men are not betting in on her simply because she continues in this vein. She continues to be scantily clad. She continues to go out there and show the world her goodies. So another man would, a man of a certain standard, a certain confidence, intelligence, assertiveness, a certain level of largesse financially are not going to buy into Melissa Ford anymore. There it is. And the caliber of men that she's starting to attract are starting to wane because she's getting older. She's probably in her early 30s at this point in time, and it's becoming a problem. Let's continue.
That was a whole question. See what kind of hoe you is. You the kind that'll let the homie butt clap the cheeks. Okay. Do you want me to make that happen? And then you said, "Oh, that's so sweet." Really? So you wasn't playing. And from that moment, he understood. That's why he ain't sweat you about what kind of clothes you was wearing and going here and there. He wasn't sweating you. And the reason that he wasn't sweating you is
Sorry about that, guys. Let me just get back here. Hold on a second.
So you wasn't playing. And from that moment, he understood. That's why he sweat you about what kind of clothes you was wearing and going here and there. He wasn't sweating you. And the reason that he wasn't sweating you is he put you through a series of whole questions to confirm or deny what he may have previously thought about you. And after you confirmed all of that hoishness, talking about that so sweet girl, what do you mean that's so sweet? What is you talking about? The fact that you wouldn't even make me feel no way. It's a lot of men that know hoes when they see them. They don't make them feel bad about being a hoe, because if you judge her for being a hoe, she won't do the hoe stuff for you. She won't do hoe stuff for you if she feel judged. Also, you a bust down. Okay. So why would he? It's a lot of men that know that. Don't judge her. Don't judge her. Don't judge her. Because you want the treatment that she giving other dudes that's not judging her. The reason why she's doing what she's doing with these other dudes and feel so free is because she doesn't feel judged by them. So if I also don't judge her or don't make her feel like she's a bad person for wanting a menage and then she'll do all of that stuff for me. She'll feel liberated sexually with me. And you know, a lot of them dudes, they don't tell it. They don't kiss and tell. They won't blast you for doing all of the whole tricks for them.
Exactly. Men will play the fool in order to get what they want. So if they have to be the simp in order to get sexual access, they will. They will. However, it's for a time. It's for the duration of time that that man plays the simp that really tells the case between a man of worth, a man of value, and then and truly a man who takes what he can get. And so this was, if well, judging by her singledom now, it was for a time. So the man got what he wanted and left and dipped. No need to fuss or fight. Let her wear what she wants. Let her do what she wants. Let her request what she wants. The fact of the matter is, she denoted herself by said request, and you play with her accordingly. You have the relationship with her accordingly. Have relations with her accordingly. So, no big deal. No big fuss. No harm, no foul. You have your time. You have your memories. You get your sexual proclivities out of the way and move on. As a man, you don't wife a person like this because she's already disrespected you by requesting a man be in the relationship outside of your authority, even though she may have meekly said no, I don't want it, but don't disregard the fact that it was your best friend, but it was your best friend. You see what I mean? It was your best friend, so she had eyes for your best friend anyway. So she just wanted to see where she could take it. So it's a matter of seeing the disrespect and moving on from it. All right, let's continue.
So they know. Don't shame her for that. Don't be like, oh, don't have a bad reaction. Have a chill reaction, and she'll do it. Oh man, he just let me be so free. Mm-hmm. Right.
And interact with anybody, and he would just sit there and just watch me with a smile. At one point, somebody stood next to him and asked him, like, aren't you afraid to let her walk around like that? And he was like, absolutely not. She's going home with me. I don't have anything to be worried about. And you want to know something? He was absolutely right. His level of confidence and knowing that I had eyes for nobody but him was what made him so much more sexy to me, so much more attractive, and made me like and love him so much more.
Yes, but where's that man now? Where's that man now? He is out of the picture. So you know. But again, the man played it on his terms. He let her parade herself around, scantily clad. He let her flirt with other guys as long as she's coming home with him, because when coming home with him, he gets his fantasies fulfilled. So he reaches a level of success through his sexual exploits. He slept with Melissa Ford. He can notch that on his belt. He can tell his grandkids about that. He can tell his homies about that. Shoot, he'll play a fool for that. Absolutely. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. There was a bit of a distraction there on the other side. Yes, but yeah, that's exactly what he decided to do. He said, you know what, I do not need. Yeah, I do not need to be with this woman for a long time. I'm just here for a good time, and so he was, and so he was. So again, you can be a simp. Everybody plays the fool for a certain time, and then the fact of the matter is you back away, because you don't want this woman playing you to this effect for a long duration of time, because, yeah, unfortunately, there are crimes of passion. So, you have your fun and you move on. Let's continue.
I wish that I could say that the vast majority of my relationships went like this, but they didn't. They didn't. I'm going to take a sip of wine.
They didn't, because these guys realized who you were and they got out of there with the quickness. They did not. They had you for what they were. They were men, and they wouldn't tolerate said behavior, and they moved on. They either declined said invitation, they either had their fun or moved on, and you were left thinking to yourself, "Oh, I was sexually liberated." No, the homies had the fun, and they moved on. They absolutely moved on. Why stick around with such a woman of such who's unvirtuous? Why? She was acting masculine. She was acting aggressive. She was acting sexually free. Men realize this, and they don't want to go home to a woman of said virtues, because it'll never end well. So you have your fun, you have your memories, and move on. And look, she truly respected that man, but she didn't realize she was being played. She did not realize what was happening here. She takes a sip of wine, but she didn't realize what was happening here, and that she was being played. She was being used for sexual, for sexual nature. No problem, no harm, no foul. He gets what he wants. She gets what she wants for a certain time. But at the end of the day, look where she is now, sipping wine and being the cat lady. Let's continue.
I was raised as an only child.
Mind you, did y'all see that? Did y'all see what just happened?
Mm-hmm.
Did you see what just happened? Let me.
It's called cope, ladies and gentlemen. What just happened with that wine tasting was cope. She was thinking of she was coping to think that, oh, I was sexually liberated and allowed to do what I want. No, the man left you where he found you, in the streets. He left you where he found you, in the streets, because you did not want to be a wife. You wanted to be a hoe. So be it.
Let me rewind it just a little bit.
Full of confidence and knowing that I had eyes for nobody but him was what made him so much more sexy to me, so much more attractive, and made me like and love him so much more. I wish that I could say that the vast majority of my relationships went like this, but they didn't.
Chris is about to talk to you about this. Wait. Here.
I'm going to take a sip of wine.
You're going to take a sip of wine because she did not realize.
I was raised as an only child.
Did you notice something missing? What was missing? Oh, I know. The end of that story. Didn't say whatever happened to him.
Yep.
Couldn't say it was his fault that he did something to her. Notice she didn't say that. She didn't make him a villain. But she also did not say the relationship ended because it ended because he ended it. And he ended it with the same level of we good that he was in it with you with. He didn't do nothing to her. She couldn't say he did nothing to her. She still liked that guy. When she think back to that guy, she liked that guy. Because that was the guy that she could have been with, that she didn't feel like he was judging how she was getting bust down by everybody. And so she could be with him. But he didn't want her. Not like that. He let her go. He had her easy. He let her go easy. Yeah, baby, you know what I'm saying? It's all good. Like, you'll always be my girl. You know what I'm saying? You will always be my look. You know? But, nah, I'm just going to move on, you know. Or however he said it. It was done. It was a done deal.
Absolutely right. The man played it perfectly. He said, you know what? I'll play your fool for a little bit, but what I want is sexual access. And he got it. He got it just as sweet as he wanted it. And he was allowed to move on. And he played it perfectly because he made her feel like a liberated woman. He made her feel that she wasn't being shamed. Absolutely perfect play. You play the fool for a minute to get what you want. And at the end of the day, he got what he wanted, which was sexual access. I got to sleep with Melissa Ford for a time there. Notch on my belt. He played it perfectly. And indeed, she is, Crimson Cure is right. He probably ended the relationship. He said, you know what? For a time, it's glad that we went ahead with this. She'll say, oh, we ended by mutual agreement. No. He was good. He was through. I can guarantee that he was through. He was done. Yeah, we're good. Because what she wanted was a simp. She never got that. What she wanted was a man who would allow her to research any fantasy and do anything she wanted. That's what she wanted. However, she wasn't going to get that from him. He said, nope, thank you very much. We appreciate our time together. We're still friends. I wish you well on your journey. Perfect play. Absolutely perfect play. Now, again, let's move on from here to the next day with Melissa, because I want to continue with this. Now, again, I haven't seen this as of yet, but we're going to get into this right now. So let's see here. Let's make sure that we are on point with this here. Here we go. It's the next day, and we're going to get into Melissa Ford's past here. And we're going to get into Melissa Ford's past and her time as a child and what probably made up her, there we go, what probably made up her makeup as an individual. Because no one is, I mean, basically she's giving you the diagnosis of, of being a modern woman. She's giving you the blueprint of what made her who she was. What made her, if you want to say a modern woman, what made her a video vixen, what made her into basically made her into the person that she is today. Despite the fact that she's in her early 30s, she's in retrospect now, she's starting to understand why things are going the way they are, and now she's in her 40s. She's in her 40s, no kids. There's a reason for that. We'll get into it. And she is one who has decided, and she's looking back in her life. She's understanding why she became who she became. So let's get into it here with Crimson Cure and with Melissa Ford and her Hot and Bothered podcast. Let's go.
Was a Rolling Stone, and I am the youngest of 11. But
I want you to catch that again. Let me catch that one more time.
I wish that I could say that the vast majority of my relationships went like this, but they didn't. They didn't. I'm going to take a sip of wine.
They didn't. We understand the sip of wine.
I
Let's
was
continue.
raised as an only child. My father was a Rolling Stone, and I am the youngest of 11.
The lady here, Melissa, was the youngest of 11 children. Papa was a Rolling Stone. She saw his mannerisms. She saw his life. She's just getting into it. This is too big to stomach. Understand this, but this is a woman who has seen a man be in and out of her life, be the father of 11 children. This man is not exactly the most virtuous of men, and look who took after him. Let's continue.
But I am my mother's only child, and I was raised in a 2-parent household, just me on my own. I used to wish constantly for a brother and a sister or a twin. It was around 6 when I figured out the twin thing was not going to happen.
Okay, this girl is also a I wouldn't say a victim, but a witness to early only child syndrome. It's never you. Kevin said it all the time. Never have children on their own, because there are certain issues with them as they grow up. They don't know how to share. They don't know how to give. They don't know how to, they can be quite selfish, as you saw here. They can be narcissistic, as you saw here. It's never good for a child to be an only child. Never good that way. And you can see, child of 11 kids. Her father had many baby mothers in his time. We'll find out about the father here. And also, she was an only child with her mother. Okay. Not a great start. Let's continue.
But I really wanted a brother or a sister because I was lonely. And I was smack in the middle of a very tumultuous marriage. Some of my earliest memories as a child are of my parents arguing and physically fighting each other. At one point, I was...
Now, what you're hearing now, whether she means for it to be this way or not, what you're hearing now is both her reason and her excuse as to why she has not had a successful relationship. And there is a difference between a reason and an excuse. The way that I like to explain that is that a reason is you have a reason for something to happen. An excuse is for something not to happen. Did that make sense to y'all? The reasons, you have a reason to do something, or there's a reason for something to happen, positive. The excuse is for something to not happen, or why something didn't happen, or why something can't happen. That's kind of negative. So what she's doing right here is that she is giving you the background of the household that she grew up in, the relationship as she saw it and experienced it between her mother and father.
So remember, as stated, this woman is the youngest of 11 children. Her father was a Rolling Stone, so he had, as a Rolling Stone, that was a nice way of putting it back in the day, that her father had many wives, many mothers of his children. This was the end of his road. This was the last of his women, from which he, from whom he procreated children. And she was an only child. So therefore, narcissistic, behavioral issues would come to the fore that she, tries to gloss over with one. Let's continue.
Which she's saying it was not good. It was not a good, loving relationship. They was fighting each other all the time. And she was our only child. Okay? So you're hearing both her reason and really her excuse for not being able to deal with a man in a reasonable way.
5, and I got in the middle of my parents physically fighting each other. My mom was holding a glass pitcher above her head and was prepared to smash it on my dad's head. And I want to say that this was in defense of herself. This was her protecting herself. So, needless to say, my first introduction to marriage and how men and women, the expectation of how they interact with each other on a romantic level was very, 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 very traumatizing. And they didn't
Stop there. So now we get to a point where this woman reveals how she is able to take abuse. She is starting to reveal how she sees men in relationships. She's starting to understand that violence is par for the course in any relationship. Okay? And that is a problem. That is something that men should have done their due diligence on, should have done some this woman should have done some psychological / psychiatric work on, but she did not. She just paired off as she chalked it up to experience. However, throughout her life, as we saw here, this is what made her the modern woman you see today. With every modern woman, there are traumas, there are scars in certain circumstances. Feminism is not the only part of modern womanhood. At certain times, there can be abuse. Simply put, there can be abuse, as is seen here. She is a narcissist for a reason, people. She was an only child. She saw abuse. She was a witness to it. She tried to stop it. That's why she can tolerate it, as was seen in her previous relationships, as you saw before. And she saw it as being normal. And she never did the work. As Kevin said, 4 things that a woman needs: a feminine coach, a matchmaker, a image consultant, but finally, you need therapy. And I'm very, very sure she did nothing of the sort in her time. Not before she became the militant Ford as she was. She may have done it post that period, but I judge that very lightly. But she never did the work to check on her mental health, because it clearly affected in her life, and she saw abuse. She gave out abuse, but she took abuse from certain men and deemed it to be acceptable. Are you getting what I'm putting down here? She engaged in narcissistic behavior herself. However, she was able to take abuse. Let that be known. Let's continue.
do anything to try to correct it. They didn't sit me down and explain things to me or apologize to me. I think that that's something that parents really miss the mark on a lot of the time, is that you are not perfect. You are human. And to be a human being is to err.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you do things to unintentionally harm your children or traumatize them. And they deserve an explanation and they deserve an apology. When my parents were not arguing with each other.
See, what she doesn't reveal in all of this is the fact that, did she do work? Did she try to heal herself? Did she try to exonerate herself from responsibility. I very much doubt she did. Because when it came to the blame, it was befallen on her parents to explain to her what went wrong, instead of trying to heal herself and understand the psyche of the abuse and how it can take a toll on you. And then she ran into relationships in which she was abused mentally and physically, and also she gave out mental and physical abuse. Well, I wouldn't say physical. Could be physical, but definitely mental abuse. She exacted revenge. Remember those two guys to start with? Yeah. That was her time to say, hey, I'm going to get my get back. I'm going to go out there and exact the same pain my mother was inflicted upon my mother. Now, again, it's up to Melissa. She didn't deserve that to see that. Absolutely not. But she should have taken time to heal from said trauma. She never did. I can guarantee that she never did. She never did. Especially during those years when she was the it girl. All that abuse still was within her. And she never took time to heal. Let's continue.
Each other. They were staying as far away from each other as possible. And what that meant was I was left home alone a lot. So one of the main reasons why my parents never said no to me when I wanted another animal. I had nothing but cats and dogs and birds and fish all over the house. I feel like animals saved me. It sounds strange. Like I'm like...
You see, here's the thing, guys. This is what happens when you're an only child. And especially a child of divorce. She was able to get whatever she wanted. Therefore, she wasn't of a giving nature. She was all about take. She was about give me what you got because I am deserving of this. There is something truly psychological about that. She never learned to share. She saw animals as healing. Totally fine with that. But the fact of the matter is, she was an only child who stayed alone a lot. She did say that. And this is not a professional. This is just theorizing, to be fair. Let me say that. This is theorizing. But I can guarantee you that the abuse, her being alone, being an only child syndrome, look it up. It makes up for narcissistic behavior. She received exactly what she wanted when she wanted. It all entered into her life. She wasn't a giving person. She one who took, demanded what she wanted, got what she wanted. She wasn't giving. She wasn't a wife. She wasn't a wife. She was for recreational use only. Only be with her for a time. That's why she is alone at this point in time. She was selfish. She never learned to be a wife. All the relationships she was in ended up in divorce. She was an only child. All these things meshed together. And she never did heal psychologically. She went headlong into every relationship thinking, I deserve what I get. I'll take what I want. I'll have what I'll have. Because that's why she says trinkets and baubles and baubles and trinkets and baubles. I want all these things because I'm deserving of that. That's what goes into the modern woman. She's deserving of everything she gets just by the asking. But she never did learn to give. She only learned to get. Never did learn to give. Let's continue.
Mowgli or something from the what's that book called? The Jungle Book? Yeah, I'm Mowgli from the Jungle Book. But yeah, that was my reality.
Now, I want to touch on that.
She'll explain it now.
This is where the ultimate selfishness came from.
Told you.
She didn't have a sibling
Right.
to share anything with.
There you go.
Not share experiences, not share toys, not share nothing.
Remember, guys, I didn't see this. This was never seen by me. I'll let you know right now. I never saw this episode. I saw it. I wanted to continue with it because what Crimson Cure is doing here is an excellent diagnosis. And I saw it for myself. This is a selfish woman. And it had to come from somewhere. And you saw where it came from. Only child syndrome. They tend to be very selfish. Also, they can be very selfish unless checked and healed. Also, the fact that whatever she requested in her young life, she got. As a child of divorce. Very, very... she never learned to share. She never learned to give. She only learned to get. And therefore, she only took and never gave. Which is key to being a wife. Let's continue.
She lived in a house where the way in which her parents tried to apologize or make up for where they lacked was by buying her gifts and buying her stuff that she wanted. So she wanted pets, she wanted cats and dogs, she wanted this and that. So therefore, her parents bought a bunch of stuff. And sometimes parents will do that. They don't raise you right.
And believe me, especially children of divorce. Those kids learn how to play each parent against each other to get what they want, which is not exactly the greatest of signs. Now, if you have shared siblings, it can be a bit better in that sense because you have to learn how to share in those instances. But the fact of the matter is, it makes it harder to learn how to give. I've seen it most recently. I'm not going to say how, but I've seen it most recently. These kids will learn how to give. They'll learn how to give and not to get. I just saw Vladimir Guerrero get a new deal, which is probably my favorite baseball player. And one of my favorite baseball players in Toronto Blue Jays history. But I digress. That is what we're dealing with here. We're dealing with a woman who only learned how to receive, picked up narcissistic behavior, didn't receive psychological aid from the trauma she had, never received therapy, and she went headlong into relationship after relationship after relationship, giving abuse and taking it. And thinking it as being completely normal. Problem. You have a problem child here. And the men in her life never did the due diligence to vet this woman. Or they did, and that's why they got out of there. They realized, this is a problem child. This is a problem woman. Get out of there. And now you see why she's alone. Modern Woman 101. But she also snookered herself in another way. We'll come to that in a bit. Let's go.
They know they're not. So their answer to that, for their lacking of parental skills, is to buy their child. I'm going to buy your childhood. Mm-hmm. I'm going to buy stuff so that you can say that you had a good childhood. When in reality, you really didn't have a good childhood. They just tried to cover it up.
They covered it up,
with
exactly.
Stuff that you wanted. And the thing that they miss is that the child wants you. As the parent, they want the parents. They want the parents' approval, and they want the acceptance, and they want all of all of that stuff. They want the validation from parents and all of those things. So now you're hearing how she internalized all of that. Mm-hmm. Not only...
Guys, we're coming back to the second hour Talk Live. Do stay with us. We're going into the psychological makeup of the
to
modern
say
woman,
why
ladies and
she
gentlemen.
can't
So
have
do come back to us here on
meaningful or
IG. We're going to
healthy
continue
or
with things on YouTube. Stay
long-lasting
tuned.
relationships with men, or why she picks the men that she picks. You can see that part, but you can also see where her sense of entitlement come from. Well, I should just be given things, you know? I should just be given stuff. When I say I want something, I should just get it.
Yep.
Duh.
There it is. Sorry. We're just going to turn back on IG. Thank you very much for joining me on Talk Live. I've already explained this. I've already just said this. She has a sense of entitlement. Yes. She said that everything I want, I should get because my parents gave it to me, so you should give it to me. Thank you very much for joining me back on Talk Live here on IG. We're continuing with the the Melissa Forrest Modern Woman Playbook. What makes up the modern woman in most cases? And in most cases, it is from childhood. A lot of modern women aren't able to give. They only want to receive. It's a sense of entitlement that came from an only child. So she got everything she wanted and no reason to share because there's no one around her to share it with. No one around her to share it with. So let me take. Without being able to give. I will take abuse. I will give abuse because I saw it. So she was able to give abuse without compunction. That's the reason why she could leave. Because remember, her father was a Rolling Stone, so he left, so she left. She didn't want to stick around. It's learned behavior. Instead of being accountable and sitting there and give explanation as to why you were making decisions, she ran. She ran. No doubt about that. That's learned behavior from her father. There's no doubt about that. No doubt about that, my friends. And Melissa had a problem childhood, which became a problem adulthood, which means she couldn't give. That means what? Here's the thing. That's why most of the men left her, because all she was doing was taking. She wasn't giving of herself. Unless to special people, but again, she had already taken from so many. So karma emptied in and said, you know what? Retribution has to be dealt with, unfortunately. Retribution has to be dealt with. So here we are. Here we are. She's at a moment in her life where she's reflecting, but she doesn't see the signs here, guys. She doesn't realize what made her into this modern woman because she never did the work. Kevin said it himself. Image consultant, matchmaker, fitness coach, and a therapist. Where's the therapy here? It's not there. She's trying to get. She's trying to show everyone that she is, the all-seeing, all-knowing one. But it's clear there's no psychology behind this. There's no accountability behind this. Not in any way, shape, or form in this relationship. All she wanted to do was show her scars. That's what she's doing. Let's continue.
Mom did it. My dad did it. So what are you waiting on? You supposed to do stuff for me. I don't necessarily have to do nothing for you.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is another thing. There are women that go through stuff like this. But the problem with it is there's no accountability attached to it. Your bad experiences as a child, things that you saw, things that you may have experienced that might have hurt you or traumatized you or changed your psyche on things or put you down a particular trajectory that may not have been positive. Those things happen. It happens to a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is that when you get to a certain age,
Listen,
you can no longer use the reasons become the excuses.
mm-hmm.
The reasons turn into the excuses. So at 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, they might have been the reasons why she could not maintain a normal relationship. Might have been the reasons. As you age, they become the excuses. Leaving out of your 20s to head into your 30s without reflection, healing, looking at certain patterns and realizing that, okay, I may have went through these things, I saw these things when I was growing up, but I can't allow those things to run my life the rest of my life, because I'm making decisions based and born out of the foolishness that was hoisted onto me.
In other words, people, she never did the work, as Kevin referred to, through therapy. She never actually came to terms with her personality disorder, her narcissistic personality disorder, because she's engaging in narcissistic behavior, but on steroids. And she never learned how to give. She never learned how to relate to in public. And as Crimson Cure said, she all she learned was take, get. Take what you can get from a man. And at the end of the day, that doesn't make up a wife. A wife has to be giving. A wife has to be nurturing. She wasn't nurturing. She wasn't giving. She was not. So probably it's good that she never did have children. Because imagine the children she would have raised. Sad to say, but true. Imagine the children she would have raised if given the opportunity. Since she hadn't done the work. It was probably a blessing in disguise. Unfortunately, sad to say, but true, that she didn't have kids. Because she never did come to terms with her prior behavior. And that behavior was toxic, it was aggressive, it was unchecked, it was unfettered. And men may have done their due diligence because they saw her nature. She was one who took. She was one who demanded. She was one who never could give. In other words, she didn't give a fuck. Maybe she gave a fuck, but she wouldn't give a fuck. So therefore, you get the woman you saw today. So they knew that if given the opportunity to make this woman your wife, it would have been a very, very futile existence. So a lot of those men to whom had given her, had wanted to make her a wife, they may have dodged a bullet, guys, because this is a monster who was untamed. This is a modern woman who was untamed. Not a monster, well, I don't say a monster. She looks like a nice person, to be fair, but at the end of the day, she knew what she wanted. She tried to get what she wanted. She was very, she was very selfish in what she wanted. She was a very selfish individual, and men wouldn't stand for that. They wouldn't tolerate that. That is not within a female's nature. A feminine woman would not be so selfish, because at the end of the day, In order to have children, you must be able to give. And she was not able. She was never able to give. She was never able to give as a child. She only took. That's why she had dogs and cats and gifts and this and that, because she only had parents who would fight with each other and want to give to her, and therefore she carried that into adulthood, and she never did the work. And here we are. Let's continue.
But that doesn't mean I have to carry it. That doesn't mean I have to carry it. And this is why I always say the things that you went through as a child are not your fault, but they can be your problem. Right? For those of us who had traumatic childhoods and things of that nature, that was never our fault. If you were a child and you went through a bunch of traumatic experiences at the hands of the adults in your life, whether they made certain decisions or for you, against you, selfishly, and didn't care how you turned out, that was never your fault. You were not at fault because you were a child, and it was not your responsibility to know what to do and how to move, and that was your parents' responsibility. And if they failed in that responsibility, that was their failure. However, it may have given you problems that manifest themselves in relationships, that manifest themselves in many different ways. Maybe you can't hold on to jobs. Maybe you can't hold on to people. Maybe you can't. You see what I'm saying? It has many different effects, and those effects will be negative. But at the same time, once you realize that a lot of your problems, a lot of the things, the choices that you're making are rooted in psychological things that you picked up through your traumatic childhood. Once you realize that the decisions that you're making are a direct result and correlation between the way you think, and the way you think is directly connected to how you grew up and it was negative, now it's your problem.
And therefore, she should have done the work in order to not make it her problem. She didn't do that. I can guarantee you that she did not do that. She didn't do it. Any sort of therapy she never undertook. Especially when she was the it girl. Especially when she was at the top. Especially when she had the wherewithal and financial means to do it. No. She thought her attitude, her temperament, her personality was totally fine. Even though she was an only child of an abused relationship and a child of divorce, where she got everything she wants. All of it builds into narcissistic behavior. She'll swear she's not, but she is. I already have the DSM-5 here. Let's go back there. I've seen it already. Unreasonable high sense of self-importance. Check. Feel that they deserve certain privileges and special treatment. Check. Definitely double check. Expect to be recognized as superior even without achievement. Check. She was a video vixen. She got there on her looks, yet she thought that she was highly important. She never worked for what she got. She was a trust fund millionaire. Once again, makes achievements and talents seem bigger than they are. I can guarantee that. Be preoccupied with fantasies about success, power, brilliance, beauty, or the perfect mate. She always wanted the perfect mate, remember. And if she didn't get it, she would fantasize about it, telling men about it, saying, I want your friend. Right? Believe they are superior to others and can only spend time with and be understood by equally special people. She thought she was a special person. Believe me, guys. She thought her beauty would get her everywhere. And yet she's now alone. Be critical and look down on people that they feel as not important. She's done that time and time and time again. I guarantee that, in order to be hypergamous. Remember that. This is part of female nature. This is part of female nature. Be critical. Expect facial. Oh, right. Expect special favors and expect other people to do what they want without questioning them. She always got what she wanted as a child. She always looked to get what she wanted as an adult. Without question. Without question, without fail, she wanted what she wanted. She always talked about the baubles. She always talked about the toys. It's all narcissistic behavior. You're getting this. Take advantage of others to get what they want. Guaranteed. This is a part of her life. All the way since from when she was a child to when she's an adult. It never went checked. Ever. Have an ability or unwillingness to recognize the needs and feelings of others. She was an only child. There it is, in and of itself. Inability, unwillingness to recognize the needs and feelings that she couldn't share. Because she only learned how to take, and there's no one there to check her on her shit. Get it? Be envious of others and believe others envy them. I'm sure that was the case. Behave in an arrogant way, brag a lot, and come across as conceited. She's doing it throughout this whole podcast. She's doing it throughout this whole podcast. Being arrogant, bragging, and being conceited. There's no doubt about that. Insist on having the best of everything. For instance, the best car, the best office, the best things, because she always got it. She was always talking about her puppies. She always talking about her toys that her parents gave her. She always talking about the trinkets that her boyfriends, her exes gave her. Narcissistic behavior. DSM-5. Total narcissist is Melissa Ford, a.k.a. the modern woman. I'm done explaining things, ladies and gentlemen. I'm really done explaining things. We're going to go in a little further. Narcissistic behavior, people. It's not a joke. It's not a lie. It's not a lie. It's not a joke, my people. Just checking to see if there's anything out there. We're going to continue with this because I'm glad I'm on a roll here. I do not want to be this. Like, subscribe, comment. On the road to 1,000 subscribers. If you have any questions of what I'm talking about here and what the modern woman makeup is, this is it. This is it, people. This is it for so many people, including this lady right here, Melissa Ford. Let's continue.
Brain as to the way that men and women interact with each other. And it left me with a very serious internalized distrust of men. I think that this is where I developed the disconnect of wanting to create progeny. You know, I just did not feel that urge like other women have to have children.
Because she didn't learn how to give. That's why. Mothers know from the... let me explain this. Mothers are known. And men know who the mothers of the world, of their children they want to have and want to be. And she wasn't raised to be a mother. She wasn't. She simply wasn't. Narcissistic behavior do not breed the best of mothers. She realized this. She knew this. She only knew how to take. She did not know how to give. And in that stew was the fact that she was an only child. So she never learned how to share. She never knew how to share. She never knew how to share. And here we are. Couple that with the fact that she never diagnosed this behavior. No one told her about this behavior. She had sycophants and eligible men throughout her life tell her what she wanted to hear and gave her what she wanted to get. So it only fed the beast, fed the monster that is the modern woman that is here today. And she said, you know what? I don't need to have kids because you never know how to give. Part of being a mother is learning how to give of yourself to your children.
And it is definitely intertwined with what I witnessed from a very early age as to my parents and their dysfunction.
She saw it as abuse. The abuse is the reason why. No. The abuse is the reason why she didn't want kids. No. No. It's something deeper than that. And any psychologist worth their salt will tell you it's much deeper than that. Much deeper than that. And it goes to your personality disorder, which is that of narcissism. Your personality did not dictate for you to be a mother at all. It's probably a blessing in disguise you didn't have kids. Unfortunately. Sorry to say, sad but true, but it's true. It was probably a blessing in disguise because you may have been a horrible mother. And she'll blame abuse, but it's not abuse. It was never the abuse. It was what happened subsequent to the abuse that made her a bad mother. She was an only child who only knew how to take things, how to get things, never give things. What was that thing to be said? It was the acts of what's it now? The acts of love, and one of the things, and one of those the one signs of love, anyways, but something to that effect. And one of those is receiving of gifts. That was probably her love language. Bang. Her love language. Her love language is receiving gifts. I can guarantee you that. Only take. She never knew how to give. And men saw that from a mile away. So wait a second, I keep putting money in here. What am I getting in return? Nothing. I can guarantee that. I may just get sexual access. That's basically it. But other than that, she's a taker. She was never going to be a great mother at all. She was never going to be a great mother because part of being a mother is learning how to give, is learning how to be unselfish. This girl is the epitome of selfishness. Sorry, sad but true.
I ended up getting an IUD implanted in my uterus. And when I
did not say that was her excuse for not being able to show up properly in relationship. So at this big age, you didn't get over your mistrust of men?
That's a false diagnosis. Yeah, I would look sideways too. That's a perfect expression right there. Look at the Crimson Cure right here. Perfect expression. You got to give her the side eye because that's not the truth. That is definitely not. That's a misdiagnosis of the highest order. She never knew how to give, and that's a lot of modern women. That's to say of a lot of modern women. They don't know how to give. If everybody's telling you how pretty you are, how beautiful you are, if everybody's giving you whatever treat or gift they want in order to gain your attention, and you are not giving of yourself willing to give unless you are of a certain stature or nature, no man wants that. No man of value or worth wants that. And you know what she did to herself? She took herself out of the game, got herself an IUD. Fantastic. One less bad mother in the world. Because she would have been one. She would have guaranteed you would have been one. She would have been a bad mother. She hadn't done the work in therapy. She only thought of herself and not others. She was selfish to a fault. She had narcissistic tendencies. We named them here. The masterstroke, getting the IUD. masterstroke getting the IED because she did not diagnose herself soon enough. So in the prime of her life, got herself the IED because she knew being a mother wasn't within her. It wasn't within her. It was without of her. There it is. I've seen the best of mothers in my lifetime. She wasn't it. I can guarantee that she wasn't it. She wasn't it. She wouldn't have been a man's peace. She would have been a man's burden for life. She would have sent a man to the poorhouse. I can guarantee you that. She would have sent a man to the poorhouse in order to appease her. She did the right thing, taking herself out of the game.
I gotta call Cap on that. The reason I'm calling Cap on that is because you kept getting into these relationships, these serious relationships, serious enough to go towards proposals and such. You didn't tell that first man that you were breaking it off because you just don't really trust men and you have trust issues and got this issue and that issue. You told us that you told that man that you wasn't done thought popping that thought pop. And that's why you wasn't trying to settle down. That's what you said. That's what you said. We didn't say that. You just told us that's what you said. You said when you saw the ring, you left out, you packed your stuff, you went away, you called him, wanted to have a conversation, and you said that the reason that you did all of that is because he, was just smothering you. You tried to almost make it like he was doing something to you, but you really couldn't formulate that up because he really wasn't doing nothing to you. And then so you just had to break down and come clean and say what it really was that your coochie was hot. And he wasn't hitting it right. He was a nice guy. He was a good guy, but he wasn't hitting it right. That's what, this isn't perfect. That's what that meant. That meant he wasn't tearing her out the frame. Okay? He was trying to have that little safe sex that he wanted to have. He was trying to have that sex that men like to have with you when they respect you. And she wanted to be disrespected in that bedroom. Okay? He's trying to have this little Puritan sex. And she want to get smutted. And he was trying to be like, no, but you're my wife. I can't do it. He couldn't do that. So therefore, when he wasn't tearing her all the way out the frame, she was like, nah, you don't be hitting it right though. Like you be doing everything else, but when it be coming time for sex, like you be, you know what I'm saying? You be, doing a lot with your shoulders in a missionary position. Like that ain't really doing nothing for me. See what I'm saying? That's what it was.
An excellent theory there by Crimson Cure. Indeed, maybe the man wasn't freaky enough. Maybe the men weren't freaky enough that ones who wanted to propose to her that she said weren't doing it for her. Yeah, I would agree, and that's denoted by the fact that she indeed was turned off by them because these men weren't freaky enough. Absolutely, that could be a plausible theory. However, I have another theory, and that's this. Whenever there was a sign of marriage. Now, marriage means usually for a man, children. This is my theory. My theory is when it came time for Melissa to be proposed to and to be considered a wife and therefore a mother. Because guarantee you, a man is not going to get down on one knee and be a wife to you unless he wants you to bring him his progeny. Very rarely is it the case of he wants to be a wife, and as a result, there are no children. It's very, very rare that is the case. So, when she was on the track to becoming a wife, and there was a ring in the future, yes, she would say, okay, you're not hitting it right, so I'm moving on. But what it came down to is this, and follow me on this one. Listen to me carefully. When this woman was confronted by the fact of being in a marriage, being a wife, and potentially being a mother, she ran. Why? Because at that time, when she became married, she would not be the center of attention. Sooner or later, it will be her children, her progeny, the 2.3, 2.5 children she was referring to. She didn't want that. She wanted to be the center of attention at all times. Realize who we're dealing with here. We're dealing with a narcissistic, only child of abuse who got her way at all times. If at all possible, if she became a wife, if she became a mother, guess what? She would have to give attention to her children. She wasn't about to do that. She wasn't about to do that. She wanted no part of that. She wanted to be the center of attention of at all times. If she wanted to get into any sort of, believe me, you're dealing with a very selfish lady here. Very selfish lady here. Who, remember, those who are well, I wouldn't say she's a creative. She's more of a, as well, she's more of a, a starlet. She's one who wants the attention all on her. And if she has to give that attention to her children, that wasn't going to work. So she shut it down. She said, you know what? I'm going to put this ID in. If a man's going to marry me, he's going to have to make me the center of his universe. There'll be no possibility of any children messing with my spotlight. No possibility. She doesn't want any part of that. I'm going to be the center of attention. I've always been the center of attention. I've been the only child. I've got what I wanted, and I want that to continue. And I can guarantee you this. When men saw that proposal on the table, they took themselves out of it. Because it's man's nature to share. It was her nature to take. And that's a modern woman's nature. Only to take. Be the center of attention. Some women shed that personality trait and become wives and mothers. But a lot of women, just like Melissa Ford, unfortunate to say, a lot of black women out there, they want to be the center of attention. That's why they're least married and most divorced. However, you have the idea that most women of that age have their children, black women, if they have children, have them by the age of 24. 76% of them have children by the age of 24, taking them out of the range of marriage. But I think that to be the predominant factor. But other factors such as this. She wanted to be the center of attention. She was the it girl for a long time. That wasn't going to change. And guess what? She didn't want it to change, got the IUD. Let's continue here with the story. From Cringe and Cure.
Because it was the sex that kept her in a relationship that she was getting mollywhopped every 3 to 5 business days. Huh? Now he was putting it down. Because a chick ain't gonna stay with a dude that, mollywhop him every so many business days and he ain't putting it down in the bedroom either. Come on now.
It's true.
So that other guy that she liked so much, she had so much sex with him, she couldn't even think straight. That's what kind of sex he was having with her. But then he was popping that lip boy back to back. Anime eat the cake every 6 business days.
Outstanding. 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 It's true.
That's what it was.
But that was a theory. That's a theory. That's a very good theory, to be fair. But I think life was all supposed to be about her, not about her progeny, not about the family, not about her husband. It was about her. This has been a selfish lady for years, and she wasn't going to change that track. Nope. It will be about me to the day I die. And you know what happens to women who that they have that theory and belief about themselves? They end up here alone with cats and wine. What man wants to be with that? Nope. A man is giving in nature. They want a woman who's giving in nature. And she wasn't willing to give. She only willing to take. She wants to be the center of attention at all times. That's why if you're going to be with me, it's gonna be about me. Let me say that again. If you're gonna be with me, it's gonna be about me. Narcissistic, selfish behavior is some of the hallmarks of modern womanhood. Especially in the case of Melissa Ford. Let's continue.
You didn't tell us nothing about trust issues, ma'am.
Let's move forward with this just a little bit.
It happened to me on a cruise ship where I was almost raped. And I could not be in the room alone with my own shadow. I was so traumatized by what had happened to me that when this man appeared, he was offering safety and security. He was physically huge, but he also came with a very secure lifestyle and a lot of security. And so I felt safe. And that's the only thing I was looking for. I was looking for safety.
She was looking for... Here he is again. She's looking for big, strong men who could protect, but mostly provide. Provide to her. Because she wasn't providing for anybody else. I can tell you that. Provide to her. She was selfish by nature, people. Selfish by nature. And there would be no changing that. That's why she was very, very careful, very, very selective of the men she wanted. She wanted big, strong bucks who could give her what she wanted. In the bedroom and outside of the bedroom. Guarantee you that.
And so I lied to myself. And it was very easy to do that. To just dive in head first. Forget the rocks below. And during the process of this relationship,
she lied to herself.
Mm-hmm.
You hear the accountability dodging? She didn't say she lied to him. She didn't say that I lied to this man. I had this man thinking that I wanted to be with him. But I didn't. I wanted what he had.
Mm-hmm.
So yet again, we hear another relationship where she's in it for all of her own selfish personal reasons.
Thank you.
I have not heard one thing, not one thing, and she has explained at minimum 4 different relationships
in which
I have not heard any instance of her saying what she did for these men.
Thank you. I just said it myself. She was in it for herself. She's a selfish woman. She would be a man's burden and not peace. She will run these men into the ground as long as they gave her what she wanted. Guys, ladies and gentlemen, This is the nth degree, the total polar opposite. Because let me think of this way. Certain modern women can indeed have these selfish tendencies, right? Listen. If you are literally being given, if you have an opportunity to have a man at your beck and call, if you have youth, beauty, fertility at your disposal at all times, you're going to be selfish. You're going to be big-headed. But she was on steroids with this. She was the Ronnie Coleman of selfish women. If you weren't giving her what she wanted, she was done with you. And she was the antithesis of a wife and mother. Antithesis. Look it up. She was the total opposite of it. There you go. I gave you the answer already. Total opposite. She was not giving of herself. She was selfish. She was demanding. She was narcissistic. And it went unchecked, and here we are, people. There's a reason why people are where they are. Look at the signs. She'll blame everybody else but herself. She will not take accountability for herself. It's everybody's fault but her own. As is being explained here. I ain't lying.
Not one. I have not heard one thing that she says she did for them.
Nope. She wouldn't do anything for them. I'm back.
Not one thing did she say or nothing about adding value to these men's lives or what she was doing to have them fall in love with her or how she was adding anything positive to them. She told these stories, and all of these stories was her breaking these dudes' hearts.
Kevin said it himself. Are you adding value to a man? As a woman? Myron would say this from Friends of It all the time. Are you adding value to a man as a woman? Those who add value tend to be wives. She wasn't a wife. She was not a wife. She was not. She had all the looks. She had all the glitz and glamour, but she had men who would fall at her feet and give her marriage proposals. That's fine. But at the end of the day, she wasn't married. Why? Because sooner or later, she would end the relationship, did them a solid, or men would do the due diligence and realize, wait a second, she's for recreational use only. I'll pass. Do not feel sorry for Melissa Ford. Do not. The only way she's feeling sorry for her is for the physical abuse. No one deserves that. Let me say that again. But for everything else, she walked in here, eyes open, realizing that this is what I deserved. I deserved to be treated the best. I deserved to be the center of attention. I deserve to have the spotlight on me. Me. No one else. That's the reason why she got an IED. She didn't want to share that with anybody else. No children. Hell no. She'll call it, oh, it's because of abuse. That no. You did not want to deal with your personality disorders. You did not want to deal with about your narcissism. And here you are. Because you thought the world was all about you. Melissa Ford. This is the modern woman playbook. And more women think that the world's about them when they don't even have Melissa Ford's looks. Which is stunning. Absolutely stunning. Just because men are in your DMs doesn't mean that you have a life of Melissa Ford. There's no doubt about that. Melissa Ford is in these spaces for a reason because her looks got her there. They opened doors for her. However, the personality that came beneath those looks was ugly. It was ugly. She is dressed in black for a reason, people. She is there to take souls. Just saying.
The only one heart she didn't break was the Tony guy. She didn't break his heart because he didn't put his heart out there to be broke.
That's right.
Once she failed the whole questionnaire, he was like, "Oh, okay, you a bop." So he didn't put his heart out there for no bop.
Nope.
He's like, "Oh, you a bop." So when he was done with her, he moved on. That wasn't no broken heart. And the guy that she was in love with, her heart was broke. His heart wasn't broke either.
Nope.
But even in the relationships that she is relaying to us as a positive relationship, I heard nothing about what she did for these men. I heard nothing about. I didn't even hear anything about how much she loved him. If it like goes off for you, just refresh. She didn't even say I love him. The one that she did love was whooping on her from what she said.
Yep.
You would love the one that whoop on your head. Every day he on your head top. You love his dirty.
She loved his dirty drawers, exactly. The one who whipped. It's sad, it's twisted, but it's true. The one that actually beat her is the one she loved the most. Okay. Undiagnosed, untreated personality disorder. She did not check into therapy and realize that she didn't deserve said behavior. She learned in time, fine, abuse is never to be tolerated. But at the end of the day, she ended up still loving that man. She still speaks of him in romantic tones, people. She still idolized the man who abused her, same as her father. Mic drop. Idolized the man who abused his mother, idolized the man who abused her. Sad but true. Battered woman syndrome? Potentially. But that's all she knew. And it went unchecked, believe me. And to this day, it's been unchecked. I can guarantee you that. She's not seen one part of a therapist, of a psychologist, well, not psychiatric. Well, not a psychiatrist, but definitely a psychologist. No part of it. No.
Dirty drawers, as she said. Not the men that was willing to give you the world on a silver platter and love you and you know what I'm saying and all that kind of stuff. You ain't love them. It wasn't perfect. I guess him whipping on your biscuit every couple of days, that was perfect.
That was perfect because that's what she saw as perfect. Her first love is her father. What did her father do? Allegedly beat on his mother. So what does she equate to love? Beat on your person. That's love. She took it in. She only sees this man in romantic tones. She said, "Oh, I love the dirty drawers he walked on. Oh, I love this, and that." Then she realized, "Oh yeah, let me get out of here because she restricted me from seeing my mother when she was in her hour of need." But if not for that, she would be still taking that abuse. To this day, she would still be taking that abuse. She went on record to say that. Remember, she did.
I started to realize that I was losing myself completely and totally. Friends had started to notice.
Remember, no accountability in her. None. Part of modern womanhood. No accountability whatsoever. It's everybody else's fault. Not her own. I wasn't getting shagged right. He wasn't giving me what he wasn't the emotional part of that I needed. It was everybody else's fault but her own. Do you hear any accountability in anything she said here? None. Part of modern womanhood is zero accountability. Let's continue.
Mel, you're paying a lot of attention to his career. What are you doing about yours? And I didn't want to hear it. I actually did not want to even hear my own name. I didn't know what it meant to be Melissa Ford anymore. I had no clue.
You had every clue, my dear woman. You had every single clue. That every last relationship you've been in, it's always been about you. The fact that you got an IUD in your system, it was about you. It was about you. For you to turn around and say, oh, I lost myself. I never found out who Melissa Ford. Bullshit! You've always found out about Melissa Ford. It was always about you. Absolute garbage. That is certain. She's making about it herself now. Oh, woe is me. Oh, I didn't take time to think about myself. You were always thinking about yourself, dear. It's in every move you've made from the time you were a child to an adult. It was all about you. Give me dogs. Give me presents. Give me baubles. Give me the spotlight. Me, 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 me. And now you're saying to yourself, oh, no. Oh, for the love of Christ, I don't know where that came from. And you wonder why you're not a wife and mother? Really?
Sound of my own name gave me goosebumps, and not in the best way. I was having a massive identity crisis. And so when he proposed, he didn't even get the full words out before I said yes, because I was running from myself. I was running from my truth. I was running from...
See how she not taking accountability?
Thank you. Let her continue, please. Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Hearing that.
I'll say this. You heard this from another person. Remember Tia Mowry? She was running from her truth. I didn't hear my truth. It was about me. I want to hear my song about me, 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 me. Me. I had to get back to talking about me. I had the IUD because of me. All these toys and baubles that you bought, it should be about me. The spotlight, that one there, should be on me. Why is there anybody else on this panel? Because it's about me. All of her personality traits are about her. She's dressed in black for a reason, people. It's all about her. Continue, please, Crimson Cure. And then we're going to get to her final
having
statement.
An identity crisis. What kind of mind space you got to be in to not like yourself to this degree?
A narcissistic mind space. But we'll continue.
Not only what kind of mind space do you got to be in order to not like yourself to this degree, but what kind of lies do you got to tell
yourself
to make this man? What face are you showing this man? Cause you lying every day that you breathing around this man. Everything you doing around him is performative and a lie. Notice how she's depthly avoiding saying that I strung him along and I was lying to him whole time.
Yep.
She's very clearly not saying that. She's not saying that at all. I was lying. I was fronting the whole relationship. I didn't really want him, and she's not saying that. I lied to myself. Really? You've been doing that the whole time, sweetheart. This didn't happen. She said that like that was something that was new. Security. She was getting a little older, and he was about the last train that were about to leave that station. And she said, I got to get a ticket right now and get on this train before I be left at this station. Ooh, I don't want to be left at this station today. I'm going to have to go ahead and get a ticket. People get ready. There's a train a-coming.
Yep. Excellent diagnosis from the Kid and Cure there. That's right. This is probably at a stage in her life where she's 30, she's 35. She knows that if I don't get married now, chances of me getting married into my 40s and into my late 40s now are going to be minimized because my youth, my fertility's gone. It is gone. She canceled that herself. But what she did do was cancel her youth. Her youth was about to leave her. She knew that. So she said she wanted to get on that train, get married now. Because at the end of the day, I need to be married and keep my baubles coming in. So therefore, I got to get locked down with someone. Let it be him. He's big enough. He's strong enough. He's protective enough. He'll provide for me. Let's go. Let's go. Because I've wasted a lot of time here looking for the perfect one. Remember, narcissistic personality disorder. Oh yeah, we don't diagnose this because she never took the time to diagnose it herself. She believes to insist on having the best of everything. For instance, the best car, the best office, the best man. Huh? Be preoccupied with fantasies about success, power, brilliance, beauty, or the perfect mate. This man was good enough. Let me get on this train and get married now because it's leaving. Fertility's gone. Beauty is there by a thread. Well, beauty's there. Let me say that. Beauty is there. She's a gorgeous looking lady. But her youth is leaving her. She's probably mid to late 30s at this time. She needs to make a decision. What did she do? She had to get on that train. I'll let Crimson Cure finish this up. Thank you very much for joining me on Talk Live on IG
Don't
YouTube.
need no ticket. You just get on board. She was just gonna get on board. Just get on board. You heard what she said. He couldn't even get the words out before she said yeah.
Yep.
The healing journey that was on the horizon, I was running and I was trying to put the blinders on. But there was always that like internal sense of
selfishness,
that steel core of resilience and tenacity inside of me that said, Melissa, this is not your truth. This is not your
truth.
path.
Exactly.
This is not it. And as scary as it was to keep trying to align myself with my internal compass, obviously, you make all these decisions, but it's got to bring you back pointing due north, which leads me to where I am now, 48, child-free, and never been married.
And alone. Because it's always been about her. At the end of the day, people. It's always been about Melissa Ford. She'll try and cap and cover and say what she says. Oh, I'm alone and free and this and that. But at the end of the day, she made mistakes throughout her life that led her to this point in her life cycle. She was an only child, a product of divorce, got what she wanted, took on narcissistic tendencies. All these things led her to being a self-confessed 48-year-old cat lady. She's here for a reason. She got the IUD put in. All these things for a reason, because she never wanted the sun to set without it being on her. Put simply and plainly, there she is with her line and with her dog, just as Kevin said. Just as Kevin said. We are coming back to the final hour here on Talk Live here on IG. Do stay with it. We're going to give you the denouement. And we are going to finish up with Melissa Ford and the Modern Woman Playbook, ladies and gentlemen. Stay with this. This is riveting stuff. Thank you very much for joining me on Talk Live. Stay with me for the third hour. We're just going to finish up right now. Talk to you soon. We're going to continue on YouTube. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for joining the Talk Live people on YouTube. Thank you very much for staying with me here. We have a few people. We're going to see if there's any comments on the other end. All right. And yes. Let me do this here. This live. Bang. We are back. Let's just check on things here in terms of the commentary in the background. Nope, we are good. Yes. And we will continue. Yes, indeed, with Melissa. Let's just get to it, ladies and gentlemen. We are where we are with regards to Melissa Ford. Let's just call the spade, as they say. She's giving you why she is where she is. Something in her told her every single waking day of her life that it's gotta be about you. It can't be about a husband. It can't be about children. It's got to be about you and what you can get out of life. Not what you can give, what you can get. So, that's where we stand. That is exactly where we stand. But again, I want to close up the point here. Because we can be running around in circles and we can get into all of her different conditions and all the different relationships, but it all points to one thing. She's alone, a cat lady, and happy in doing it, which is fine. Totally fine. But what I wanted to share here is her final words. Here we go. Is her final words, her final cap on how she's seen her life to this point in time. And again, Crimson Cure, God love her. Even though we differed in terms of our theories, we're pretty much bang on in how we came to be here at this point in time. And it's a shame because she came from a city in which it was, it's about community, about family to a certain extent. But she picked up negative tendencies, which has led her to this point. But what we want to do right now, because again, I don't want to extend it too far further, because again, she has made these choices in life. She has put herself at this place in time where she is drinking wine and with her dogs and cats. We want to get to the reason why she is, these final words she has here, and they are so poignant. They are so significant that we need to keep this in mind going forward with regards to Melissa Ford, because at the end of the day, it is true what Crimson Cure has said. There's a time and a place where you have to stop being the victim and you have to start being accountable for your actions. And I would say from the time she was about 19, 20 till now, for the last 28 years, she has to come to the understanding that everything she does, it's not about the abuse that she suffered as a child. It's about how she treated people in her adulthood. Let me say that again. It's not about the abuse she suffered as a child. It's how she treated people in her adulthood. Which has led her to be, for recreational use only, to be fair and frank, and alone that she's happy in, which is fine. I'm glad she's not damaging too many more lives, but she's here for a reason. Let's get to that. Let's get to her last bit of cope right now.
This one a mess.
On Instagram that I wanted to read today. It says marriage is the lowest paid form of sex work. Women are owed reparations.
You don't deserve to be a wife nor a mother when you have those two sentences lead your soliloquy. Marriage is the lowest paid form of sex work. Women are owed reparations. Stay outside. You deserve to be outside. No one should feel sorry that you're outside. No. You are happy being who you are. Totally fine. You've left many men in your wake. All well and good. You can count your engagements. Perfectly fine. But no one feels sorry for this woman. She put herself here for a reason. And those last two sentences say it all. Marriage is the lowest paid form of sex work because it should be about me. Women are owed reparations. I deserve more. Me. In those two sentences, she's out here for a reason, people. She's out here for a reason. She's out in these streets for a reason. Don't feel sorry for her. Do not feel sorry for Melissa Ford. She has made her decisions. She's taken her path in life, and she's happy in doing it. And those two sentences say everything about her personality. And that is one that is selfish and narcissistic. I cannot stress that enough. Let it go.
The people we lay with are the people who are most likely to kill us. Which sounds really dark, but that's the reality we're living in. The reality is women have lost their lives in pursuit of men.
The first paragraph, understood. No one deserves abuse. Absolutely not. No one. No one. But the next paragraph, the subsequent one, the reality is women have lost their lives in the pursuit of men. That is the sign of a woman who only sees herself first. She takes herself first. She puts herself first. It's about me first. Motherhood, wifedom is one of the selfless pursuits one can have in existence, and yet it's one of the most revered for a reason. She did not want that path for herself, which is fine, but at the end of the day, it tells a lot about her. It says a whole lot about who she is as a person. Let it go.
Women have lost their futures in pursuit of love. I think we all need to really sit down and ask ourselves as individuals, what does love actually mean for me?
Everything she says is about I, me, individual. You see where we're going with this, guys? It's about I, me, and what life has in store for yours truly. Continue, please. Please continue.
And what in my life resembles that? Does the man that I've chosen resemble that love that I want and deserve? The traditional idea of love is damaging for women because it involves us being self-sacrificial in order to prove our worth.
Again, do I see any selflessness in this paragraph? No. Nothing within it. Nothing. Her whole life has been about her, and it is summed up in this paragraph. Her whole adult dating life. She's alone for a reason, people. Do not feel sorry for her at all. Her whole diatribe to this point is about I, me, self. What am I getting out of love? What am I getting out of relationship? What am I getting out of self-sacrifice? What am me? You getting the picture here? Narcissistic behavior. I've already diagnosed it. It's here in this paragraph. Continue.
Men need to learn to find sustenance, entertainment, and sexual gratification outside of women because we don't owe men that.
Right. Because all men should do is worship the women that they are with, give until it hurts, and if you happen to be emotionally or mentally scarred by said condition, so be it. So be it, guys. You're supposed to take it on the chin because women are the end all and be all. They didn't build the world and everything in it. Nah, they're the special ones. Remember, okay? Continue.
We live in a society where men assign women humanity and worth based on how attractive they are to them. Men need to learn to find sustenance, entertainment, and sexual gratification outside of women because we don't owe men that. That deserved a repeat.
No, it didn't. No, you said enough. You said everything that needed to be said about yourself. Not us. Wifedom is not within you. Motherhood is not within you. And that's fine. That's totally fine. I'm glad that's the one thing you did self-diagnose. The one thing you got right is the fact that you are not fit to be a wife or mother. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. That whole soliloquy, that whole prose that you just gave, unfortunately, tells everything we need to hear about you. It's all about you. It's literally all about you. It's literally all about you. I'm being disturbed here by
A woman.
No, not by a woman, by staff, ladies and gentlemen. So again, thank you very much, and I appreciate your concern. Thank you very much for that. But again, that didn't deserve a repeat. You've already said what you needed to say. It didn't have to be repeated. Stay amongst yourself, my dear. You have revealed yourself quite eloquently, and thank you very much for that diatribe that is clearly unto yourself, because the world was not built on said ideals. I can guarantee you that. It was never built on said ideals. Never built on said ideals, ladies and gentlemen. It was built on selflessness. It was built on loyalty. It was built on love. It was built on giving. It was built on family. And family, my dear, is not within you. Not within you. It's either about you or else. It's my way or the highway. That's what's clear through this whole diatribe. You know what? Yes, she is done talking. Thank goodness. Thank goodness it's over. Let's hear from Crimson Cure finally, and then we can sum up.
After you have been the sexual entertainment.
Yes.
That's a wild one right there.
That's wild. Yes, it is.
That's nasty work.
That is nasty work, yes.
That's nasty work right there.
Yep.
Then she coupled it with that Oprah music.
Uh-huh.
Like my baby said, that Epiphany music. That's that Oprah music.
She thought that she had reinvented the wheel with that paragraph. With that statement. She thought she had reinvented the wheel. She thought that she had struck a blow for feminism everywhere, for modern women everywhere. And I can guarantee you that will die with you. Those sentiments will die with you. You know why? Because the world doesn't get through with such sentiment. I guarantee you that. That's not how this world was raised. That's how you came up. Because it's always been about you. But I'll continue with what Trinity Cure said.
That that's that Fix My Life music that Iyanla played at the end after we done wrapped up. But Iyanla had them doing some work, at least for the music.
She thought she's a genius here, ladies and gentlemen. Let it be said, she thinks she's a genius with that utter tripe. Utter, complete ballsack nonsense. Because everything, what was littered through her whole statement was I and me and no we, no us. It was about I, me, and what women can get out of life. Even though men create the world so they can live in. You see, we've created a world so free that women can utter this absolute bile and think that they are. They have reinvented the light bulb. Shameless. Absolutely shameless. Please, go on, Cure. Please.
You giving us music for hyena talking points.
Yeah, true.
Talking about women don't owe men the entity. Let me go back and read this foolishness.
No need to read this foolishness. Let's continue.
This right here. Men need to learn to find sustenance, entertainment, and sexual gratification outside of women because women don't owe them that. After a whole lifetime of being nothing but a man's plaything and getting your money and getting your rocks off.
Yep.
That's an interesting little tidbit you got right there, Miss Melissa.
Yep.
After you ain't been nothing but booty shots and cum shots the whole time. Now you want to tell women that men need to find sustenance, entertainment
on their own,
sexual gratification, so you don't want the new girl to get no D or nothing.
See, here's the thing about it, and it is absolutely true. See, a woman like Melissa Ford realized she's been used and abused by men, and she has nothing to show for it. She's on a podcast made by a man, ladies and gentlemen. She's not above that. Joe Budden podcast has Joe in it. Joe Budden, a man. She's on that podcast. She didn't make this on her own. This is the only thing. This is the only effort that she's given literally to herself. But every other entity that she's been involved with was created by a man. So it's rich that she wants men to seek sexual gratification outside of women. Are you mad? Oh, she is mad. I'm sorry. She is mad. Let me say that again. She is mad because she has been used. And karma has dealt her her hand. She does not like herself right now. She does not like the situation she's in right now because there aren't any more men coming to give her what she wants. She's being starved and it hurts. It hurts her being to be on the outside looking in. Because she didn't use her trust fund millions to secure a man and give unto him. She only wanted for herself. And every man sooner or later realizes that this woman is not for us. She is for the streets. As Crimson Cure already denoted, she is a quote-unquote cum bucket. And I've never said that on this show before, but it's apt in this instance. For that utter bile, yes, indeed. She is allegedly, let me say allegedly, let me say allegedly, a comeback. I don't want any defamation on character. That's what she basically is. And for that, she has ended up alone. So therefore, she is trying to warn women, please don't follow my path. Please don't be a couple. But you know what? It'll happen again and again and again until women realize that the world in which you live in, the world in which the freedoms that you carry so very well was created by men. She never got that memo. So she will stay on her own with her dog and with her wine and with herself. Because it's always been about her. Got it? Got it. Modern woman, one people.
Women, that's rich.
That is rich.
That's rich. That's rich coming from a video vixen, and I'm being nice with the words.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect way to end off a whole hour of dodging accountability as a woman. It's damaging to women because it called for being self-sacrificial. See, this is the hyena's mantra. This is the hyena manifesto right here. This Absolutely. Is what this is. This is a hyena manifesto.
Absolutely true. Absolutely true.
How to be complete. Didn't I tell you they want to be completely useless to me, and they want to be. I ain't never seen a group of women want to be useless. Want to be just of nothing, just no value or nothing.
No.
There has been no single destructive force to women more than feminism and the concept of feminism that we have seen in the modern age. There has been no other single concept that was more destructive to women than feminism. None. Not one. You can't name me one. It took all of everything that made women and threw it in the trash and said you don't need it because it's bad because men can get a benefit out of it. We hate men so much that you being a woman, men get benefit out of that. So what we're going to do is we're going to say it's not women. You're not women. Women don't exist. The concept of women don't exist.
The concept of giving does not exist with this woman. She's a narcissist. At its core, she's a narcissist. At her core, a narcissist. And she wants all women to be just as narcissistic as she is. I can guarantee you that. Misery loves company. And believe me, this is a miserable woman. I never thought I'd say, but it's true. She is miserable to a fault. Miserable. She's lived life unto herself, and she has been dealt the hand that she had played, and now she is regretful and vindictive and nasty. That's what these words signify here. Men learn to find sustenance, entertainment, and sexual gratification outside of women because we don't own men that. Good. Stay outside. Because for your protection and provision, believe me, there is a price to be paid. There is a price to be paid. And if you're not willing to pay it, that's fine. As a free, upstanding citizen, you're allowed to do that. But don't expect a man to be your simp. Melissa Ford. Don't expect a man to be your simp. Simply because of your whim. Stay outside where you belong.
Because men can get a benefit. You don't want to be worth nothing in your relationships. Self-sacrificial. Of course it is. That's why you're bad partners, but this is also why you bad mothers. I'm almost glad you ain't got no kids.
Absolutely true. Because you know what? I've already stated by himself, she would have been a terrible mother. Terrible. Absolutely god-awful. She would have been an absolute... And I don't wish that on any woman. But when you hear stuff like that, it's probably best that you're on your own with your dogs and cats and wine. So that we can invest and gain some benefit from you, because quite simply, there's nothing else to take from you. You are where you are for a reason. Don't blame your mother. Don't blame your father. Don't blame your upbringing. Don't blame anything. This is all on your, as we say in this neck of the woods, head top. Head top! Your woven head top.
Because for a woman, the thing that's supposed to teach you self-sacrifice above anything is mothering your children. Because your children don't give you no benefit. You're supposed to sacrifice everything for them. Even your life if it comes to it. You risk your life just to have them.
Knife wasn't about her children or the promise of such. She was never going to have them. Let me say it again. It was not in her life's plan to have children because life was about herself. Single child. Narcissistic behavior. Selfish to a fault. It's all there. All laid out to be seen. All of it. Then the pièce de résistance, the IUD. Gain, set, match. Stay outside. Don't be a mother because you would have been terrible at it.
And you don't want no relationship that calls for you to be self-sacrificial? That's why you bum lovers and you bum mamas. Huh? That's why you ain't no good as a wife and you ain't no good as a mama. You just fail as a woman all the way around. In every aspect of womanhood, you fail. Because you don't want to sacrifice nothing of yourself for the greater good of others. You don't feel like you need to come up off of nothing. Put no skin in the game nowhere.
I'm going to end it there. Nothing left more to be said. Thank you, Crimson Cure, for part 1 and part 2 of Melissa Ford as a 48-year-old cat lady, part 1 and 2. Let me say this. The diagnosis of modern womanhood through the gaze of Crimson Cure was surgical and simply magnificent. Let me put it back to me on my. Listen, let me go back to me in my case here. Let me just put it back on my full cam here. Thank you very much, Crimson Cure. Like, subscribe to Crimson Cure, doing wonderful, and I mean extremely good things in the YouTube streets. I cannot state that enough. But we're going to end it here at the 2:30 mark. Let me say this about Melissa Ford. Do not feel sorry for this woman. Do not. She may have been a child of a child. She wasn't beaten. Her mother was beaten. She witnessed the beating. She shouldn't have witnessed the beating. She then was physically and mentally abused by her greatest lover of all. There's got to be a correlation of that there. That could have gone psychologically, but I'm sure she didn't seek therapy herself, so guaranteed that would have gone over her head. However, let it be said this. Melissa Ford is where she is because of her own misdeeds. She brought this on herself. Do not think for 1 second that this was not pre-planned. That she did not see this through to the end. All she wanted to do was take. She left men in her wake. She never sought the therapy to make things better. She became her own cautionary tale. She did. She literally did. She is where she is for a reason, ladies and gentlemen. Melissa Ford is the modern woman on steroids. On steroids. With that last diatribe of asking men to seek sexual gratification on their own, because she was used for what she was. There was no sense of selflessness or giving within her. She is where she is because she was a narcissist, selfish, nasty piece of work. Nasty piece of work. And I don't say that lightly. That last little paragraph work that right there shows us everything. But the thing about it is, most women would cheer her for it. They'll see her as the paragon of virtue. That's why you'll see 50% of women being single and alone by 2030. Because they take such stances. Okay, fine. There are more than enough women out there who want to be wives. You don't have to be one. That's totally fine. And at the end of the day, stay single. Stay on your own because men don't need you. Men don't need you at all. We've used you for what you are, and we are moving on, people. Leaving a 48-year-old Catwoman, self-confessed, in her ignorant bliss. Thank you very much for joining me on Talk Talk Live for this introspective look at the modern woman and a modern woman on steroids and what it actually took to get there. Because we usually get, the sights, the sounds, the after effects, the events of modern womanhood, but we don't see the anatomy of it. We don't see the skeleton of the modern woman. Here we get that tonight. We get a glimpse of that tonight. And let's be fair and frank. We applaud Melissa Ford for being so forthright and frank about her life and all there is to it. But at the end of the day, she is who she is. She's a modern woman. And the milieu she's in is the milieu she's in because there's no selflessness or giving or motherhood or wifedom in her. Plain and simple. Thank you very much for joining me on Talk Live. We're going to end it here. I'm going to grab myself a quick snack and see about a little gym tonight because I have an examination tomorrow morning, so I want to be bright and early for that. So again, thank you very much for joining me on Talk Live. We'll be back to next week with more shows. We're going to get that Joy Taylor show. We're going to let things marinate a bit on Joy Taylor and Fox Sports and Skip Bayless and what's going on there in terms of lawsuits and see another modern woman in action. But I wanted to finally see the anatomy of the modern woman tonight. And thank you, Melissa Ford, for doing that. And she's a local lady. So again, all praise due to her. Thank you very much for putting it out there. And you'll see, guys, if there's any advice I can give it to you, vet the women you're with. Don't fall in love with looks. Because looks is not all. Looks is definitely not all, especially in this case. We're going to say goodnight to us here on IG. Thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you next week. And good night from Toronto. Thank you very much for Talk Live here on YouTube. And we're going to get out of here a 5-hour, well, I would say 4.5-hour look at the modern woman in all of its free-flowing form. And thank you very much for Melissa Ford for, giving us the warning signs, as you did your many, many, many paramours, friends, lovers who have put you in